Yeah, me there, you know. See, right now, I name is Colin Selassie. See, I am the author of I.D. Selassie and the opening of the seven seal. See, and this is a sweet potato anyway. But anyway, as I say, I am Colin Selassie. I am the author of I.D. Selassie and the opening of the seven seal. See, and this is a little, how you call it? A little revelation from the revelation. Anyway, I will start it like this. It goes something like this, Ras Tafari. After this I look and I behold a open door in Zion, and the first voice I heard sounded like a trumpet saying unto I come up here, and I will show the things which will take place soon. And immediately I was in the iris, and behold the throne was set in Zion, and he that sat there upon it had the appearance of jasper and carnelian. Round about the throne is a rainbow like unto an emerald. In line with the throne is 420 smaller thrones. Upon these smaller thrones 420 elders, each having white garments and golden crowns upon their head. Out of the throne I can hear the sound of voice of lightning and the voice of thunder. I said the floor thereof is like unto a sea of glass, which has the appearance of a crystal. In the midst of the throne around about it there are four living creatures, each having 6 wings. I said the first one is like unto a lion, and the second one is like unto a cow, and the third one has the face of a man, and the fourth one flies like an eagle. I say they rest not day and night to give thanks and praise unto him that liveth forever, saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, thou art who was and is to come. But I was taken a great power and began to rule. And every time the four living creatures give thanks and praise, the 24 elders fall down with their faces to the ground, and cast their crown before him that sit upon the throne, saying, Worthy art thou, Lord God, Ras Tafari, to receive glory, honor, majesty, truth, and strength. For thou hast created all things, and even for thy own pleasure they are and were created. Then I saw in the right hand of him that sat upon the throne a book written in and sealed on the outside seal with 7 seals. Then I heard the voice of a strong mighty warrior God proclaiming loudly, Who is worthy to receive the book and to release the 7 seals thereof? And I, man Rasta, began to read much that there was no one found worthy in heaven and on earth and under the earth to receive the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. Then one of the 24 elders came unto me and said, Weep not, Rasta, behold, the lion from the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to receive the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. Then I saw in the midst of the throne and in the midst of the 4 living creatures and in the midst of the 24 elders, there stood a lamb as though it had been slain with 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 iris of the Almighty Jah, sent forth into all the world. Then I saw when the lamb went and took the book from out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. Then I saw the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders, each having golden vials in their hands, smelling of beautiful incense, which are the prayers of the saints, And they also had musical instruments also. And they also a new song unto the lamb, saying, Worthy is the lamb that was slain, to receive the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. For thou hast shed thy blood, and by thy blood thou hast redeemed people from every nation, language, kindred, and tongue. And thou hast made them kings and queens and priests unto Jah, and they shall reign in the earth forever and ever. And same time after this I heard the sound of all the creatures in heaven, and all the angels thereof, and numbered myriads and myriads of tens of thousands and thousands and thousands, and all the creatures that dwell upon the earth, and all that dwell under the earth. And they all sang with a new song unto the Lamb, saying, Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power, wisdom, glory, honor, majesty, truth, riches, and blessing forever. Then same time after this I heard the sound of the 4 living creatures, saying, Jah, Ras Tafari, seen, and then bow down and worship Haile Selassie. Seen? I'm going to start that again, I'm going to like that mistake there. But Rasta man, we could have carry on still, yeah. Then bow down and worship Haile Selassie. Who when he had opened the first seal, yes? I heard the sound of the first living creature saying, Come and see. I went and I saw, and lo and behold, there went forth a white horse, whose rider had a bow in his hand, and unto him was given a crown, and he went forth conquering unto conquer, in the name of the Lion of the tribe of Judah. For he art King of all kings, Lord of all lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of the Jews. So here is the good news. In the year 1892, the 225th descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba came into this world. He was born to Tafari Makanin in the province of Hara, Ethiopia. In the year 1896, the Italians were up to the same old tricks. For at the age of nearly 4, DJ Tafari found himself on the battlefield of war, fighting alongside the great Emperor Menelik to stop the Italian aggression at the Battle of Adwa. That day, the Italians then did take some licks. Moving on, Rasta, there is no 1905. The Ethiopians came alive. Ras Makanin raised up his son Ras Tafari Makanin to the rank of DJ which means keeper of the gate. Listen carefully, for he art the doorkeeper. In 1911 is a match made in heaven. DJ Mastafari and Lady Menin are married according to Ethiopian church custom. A union which was to last 49 years and them never have a single argument between them Rasta. You can't believe that. Moving on Rasta man and woman. The year is now 1916. Things looking quite mean upon the international scene. For the two cousins, Kaiser William I and George V could be seen going at it in World War I. Meanwhile at home in Ethiopia, things were much quite the same. Because DJ Mastafari and DJ Mastafari could be seen marching northward out of the city of Addis Ababa looking for his cousin Lijasu. For Lijasu had changed his religion from Christianity to Islam. For Lijasu wanted to raise a Muslim army to go and attack the British, the French and the Italian to drive the white man from out of Africa. But this would have been a catastrophe which would have changed the course of history. Who could save the day? Only DJ Mastafari of the House of Makonnen, I say. The matter was reported by him to the Ethiopian Church Crown Council in Addis Ababa, who summarily excommunicated Lijasu and gave DJ Mastafari the order to go out and capture his cousin Lijasu. But as I and I was saying, meanwhile, DJ Mastafari was marching northward out of the city of Addis Ababa. He was met by the great army of Negus Michael. Negus Michael was the father of Lijasu. Seeing, Negus Michael had heard that the Ethiopian Church Council had excommunicated his son, Lijasu, right, of whom his grandfather, Emperor Menelik, had nominated him to sit upon the throne of David since 1912. But in 1912, Lijasu was only 17, which stopped him from sitting upon the throne. You understand me? Because it is a stipulation of the Ethiopian Church Council that no boy can sit down upon the throne. You have to be a man. See? Rastafari. Anyway, as I say, yeah, DJ Mastafari was marching northward out of the city of Addis Ababa, and he was met by the great army of Negus Michael, who was the father of Lijasu, and the battle was enjoined. And after 8 hours of war and slaughter, DJ Mastafari was the victor, and Negus Michael was the loser. Negus Michael was captured and him shackled him in gold chain. And upon DJ Mastafari re-entry into Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian Church Crown Council conferred upon him the dignity of Ras and region plenipotentiary to the throne of David. Seeing the throne they gave to Empress, they gave to Zarditu, who was Emperor Menelik's daughter, and she ruled Ethiopia from 1916 to 1930, as you know if you check your history book. Seen? Anyway, moving on Rasta. The year is now 1923, and under the auspices of now Rastafari, the Mafia set Ethiopia free. Ethiopia is admitted to the League of Nations amidst great, this is a sweet potato by the chance, yeah. Anyway, Ethiopia is admitted to the League of Nations amidst great hostility from the European fraternity, who didn't want an African man country to join their European club, as it were. Anyway, moving on Rasta. The year is now 1928, and it's not too late. They have to crown him Negus, which means king. 2 years later, it is the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. For Negus Tafari and Lady Menin are crowned King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering land of the tribe of Judah in St. George's Cathedral, Addis Ababa, 2nd of November 1930. Jah Rastafari Selassie I live. Seeing, whereupon, yes, I say, he took unto himself that of his baptismal name of Haile Selassie. Seeing, Selassie I live. Jah Rastafari. If you know where my brother, I'm just run through it quick. Seeing, anyway, moving on Rasta. The year is now 1935. This time, the Italians them have a nerve. Some say them invade Ethiopia up to 5 times now, October the 3rd, making war against Ethiopia and dropping bombs on them, killing them with bullet and mustard gas, etc., etc. The Ethiopians then want to murder. So after 8 months of war and slaughter against defenseless people, basically, the Ethiopian, His Imperial Majesty say to them, look, we can't take the beat no longer. Now go to the League of Nations and speak to them and ask them why them doing this to us. Yeah. So after when Haile Selassie and them arrived at Geneva, League of Nations, on June the 30th, 1936, and these are some of the words he said. He said, apart from the kingdom of I, there is no other human government that possesses any greater merit than any other. But when on this earth, when another nation sets out in the belief that it is right to exterminate the next nation against whom offense has been proved, then the hour has come for the nation that has suffered the wrongs to take the injustice. This is a sweet potato, and by the way. Yeah, the nation that has suffered the wrongs to take the injustice they have suffered before the League of Nations. The Haile Selassie said, God and history shall observe as witnesses the judgment the League shall give. This speech, in effect, was the opening of the second seal in the book of Revelation, which goes something like this. When the Lamb ears last I opened the second seal, I heard the sound of the second living creature saying, Come and see, and I went and I saw. And lo and behold, there went forth a bright red horse, whose rider was given power to take peace from the world. See? And unto him was given a great sword. The man who has fit the character of the rider of the red horse is none other than Adolf Hitler, who come to power as Chancellor of Germany in 1933. When Hitler come to power, let me see if we can remember, he marched into the Rhineland, Austria by 1936, Hungary and them place there. 1938, he reached Czechoslovakia, where Neville Chamberlain go and said to him, say, Hitler, you're out of order. You can't keep on marching the German army into countries of Europe and taking them over. You're breaking the Treaty of Versailles that we signed in 1919, saying that Germany was not to build no more machinery for war. And look what you're doing, Hitler. And Hitler said, yeah, you see, like me's a bad boy, I'm not going to do it again. But anyway, Hitler laughed and wait one more year later until, when was it, September the 28th, 1939, and when he invaded Poland, which prompted Neville Chamberlain of England to go up on the BBC airwave, and he said to the British people, he said, because of Hitler's great transgression, Britain is now at war with Germany. This was after giving Hitler 3 days for pulling out of Czechoslovakia, pulling out of Poland, sorry, and he resigned and give the job over to Winston Churchill, who was to lead the British people through the duration of the war. See? Anyway, as you know, the war lasted for 5 years. Interestingly enough, during the course of the war, right, Mussolini was signed a treaty with Hitler. This became known as the Treaty of Locarno. This was signed on 1940, yeah, before June, yeah, about maybe April, I think, them time, we can't remember me knows. But June 1940, see, Mussolini go sign a treaty with Hitler, which prompted Britain and France to say, why? It seems like Mussolini is the great transgressor. Let's help out Haile Selassie and get him back into his country. So them fly Haile Selassie out of England on June the 10th, 1940, in a plane that take off pan water and land pan water, and them land him down in Egypt, in Alexandria, but them couldn't take him off of the plane in the daytime because the place was being overrun by Italian, who was trying to bring war armaments to supply Hitler #1 henchman, Field Marshal Heinrich Rommel, in the Libyan deserts, and so on and so forth. And plus, they was trying to bring war armaments by way down to Ethiopia to supply Mussolini and co. Since them have to wait till night time for smuggle Haile Selassie off the plane that take off pan water and land pan water, and them smuggle him down to a place called Khartoum in the Sudan, right? This was in June the 10th, 1940, where the preparations were put in order for the recapture of Ethiopia, which was done successfully 11 months later on May the 5th, 1941. And on re-entry into his capital city, these are some of the words that Haile Selassie said. He said words like this, him said, On this day, when men of earth and the angels of heaven could neither have foreseen or atone, I owe an utterable thanks to be here amongst you all today, right? And then it says something like this again. Since this is so, right, let no more war go on in Ethiopia. The war is over. See, today is a new day. No more killing for one. White man for stop kill black man, and black man for stop kill white man. Who want go back to Italy as a white man can go back. And who want to stay can stay. We have to love one another now. See me I put it in my words still. But in effect those are the words that Haile Selassie said. And the world was shocked. Because them thought Haile Selassie would have taken them prisoners of war. But him never. Seen? Anyway, moving on Rasta. The year is now 1945, right? And this time now, we have a new president in the United States of America, beg your pardon, the United States of America, in the form of Harry S. Truman. Harry S. Truman came to the presidency in April of that year when Franklin D. Roosevelt had passed away suddenly in the Oval Office, which gave Harry the nod for the job, as he was being the vice president at the time. So Harry S. Truman waited 4 months until August of that year 1945 before him dropped the bomb upon the Japanese of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You find World War II was over. So along with Haile Selassie, Harry Truman, along with the help of Haile Selassie, His Imperial Majesty, the organization that was put together was called the League of Nations, because them say we can't keep on fighting no more war like this and killing off 60 million people in World War. So we have to find a way to stop make war. So the organization that was put together, that Harry put together along with the help of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, I say that again, was known as the United Nations. Yeah? And on the 4th annual meeting, September 28, 1949, Haile Selassie went to speak to them. And these are some of the words he said. He said, the League of Nations failed and failed basically because of its inability to prevent aggression. But neither the depth of that failure nor the intervening catastrophe could dull the need and the perception for world peace through collective security. So that here in the United Nations, we have dedicated ourselves anew to this high and indeed essential ideal, essential if the world is to continue on the path for peace. For Haile Selassie, the United Nations represents man's last hope for world peace. This speech, in effect, was the opening of the third seal in the book of Revelation, which goes something like this. When the Lamb Haile Selassie first opened up the third seal in the book of Revelation, I heard the sound of the third living creature saying, come and see, and I went and I saw. And lo and behold, he went forth a black horse, whose rider had the scale of justice in his hand. Then I heard a voice in the midst of the first living creature, saying, a measure of wheat for $1, and 3 measures of marijuana for $1, just my interpretation still. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. I'm going to ask you a question, all you intelligent people out there in the world, if you can answer me what that means. When it say, when I heard the lamb, then I saw the lamb, yes, last I opened up the third seal, and I saw the third living creature saying, come and see, and I went and I saw, Lord, behold, he went forth a black horse, whose rider had a bow in his hand, and unto him was given a crown, and he went forth conquering the name of the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Anyway, Rastafari, me I go give that against it, and I go wrong, you know. And that's why I say, man, not for boast. You see, what when I say, the third seal now, right? The third seal, say, when Haile Selassie opened up the third seal, I heard the sound of the third living creature saying, come and see, and I went and I saw. And lo and behold, they went forth a black horse, right, whose rider had the scale of justice in his hand. Then I heard a voice in the midst of the first living creature saying, a measure of wheat for $1, and 3 measures of marijuana for $1, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Now can anyone tell me whose voice this was when it said, then I heard a voice in the midst of the first living creature saying, a measure of wheat for $1, and 3 measures of marijuana for $1, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Well, if you can't tell me, I will tell you. This was the voice of Haile Selassie that spoke to the League of Nations on June 30th, 1936, when he said, apart from the kingdom of God, there is no other human government that possesses any greater merit than I. when on this earth, when the nation sets out in the belief that it is right to exterminate the next nation against whom no offence has been proved, then the hour has come for the nation that has suffered the wrongs to take the injustice you have suffered before the League of Nations. Then I Selassie said, God and history shall observe as witnesses the judgment the League shall give. This speech, as I did I say, was the opening of the second seal in the book of Revelation, yes, and it was also the killing off of the beast in the book of Revelation chapter 13. Because Revelation chapter 13 said that the beast received a wound, a mortal wound, and yet live. The beast received a mortal wound on June the 30th, 1936, when Haile Selassie said, apart from the kingdom of I. And it yet live today in the form of the League of Nations, when Haile Selassie was said to it, say, no, it yet live today in the form of the United Nations, when Haile Selassie was said to them, say, on September the 28th, 1949, he said, the League of Nations failed, and failed basically because of its inability to prevent aggression. So neither the depth of that failure nor the intervening catastrophe could dull the need and the perception for world peace. So it's that here in the United Nations we have dedicated ourselves anew to these high and indeed essential ideals, essential if the world is to continue on the path for peace. For Haile Selassie, the United Nations represents man's last hope for world peace. So when you put the two together, my brother and my sister, you get to find out, say, and get to know, say, according to Revelation chapter 13, the beast that received a mortal wound was the beast that was known as the League of Nations, when Haile Selassie was smite it with the word of his mouth, and it yet live today in the form of the United Nations. And take it very seriously, and know that Haile Selassie, I say, the United Nations is man's last hope for world peace. So this is a message to the 5 members of the United Nations Peace Security Council, who are England, China, Russia, France, and America. Did not Haile Selassie, I say to you, the United Nations is man's last hope for world peace? I hope you can get it right, my dear friends. Otherwise, I'm coming to take your seat. Okay? Thank you very much. Rastafari. God bless. Selassie, I live. Seen Rastafari.